There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5 in the Evil P Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire Roy Blicker. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face. Wow, what a day of that. We finally got another almost $9 billion in fraud being discovered in California. Kelly Loeffler and crew were out here under the guise of J.D. Vance, who's been put in charge of putting the California Fraud Commission investigations under his tutelage, his very capable hands of doing that. So I expect more announcements on Fraud Friday. We'll have to change it from Faster Than You Friday. Richie Canyon, their show, the nudie camp that's been there ever since I've remembered. I've been parts on this earth of 7 decades. They should do jets off the power to the patrons. We'll get a story on that from KABC7. Pam Bondi announced a Benghazi arrest, and yeah, we'll get into that. But until you put Hillary Clinton in cuffs, and probably Trey Gowdy, you know, the superficial stuff, get it. I mean, not that it's not important, but let's get it together. We'll deal with the whole mini trift about Trump, and he's supposed to put a racist deal. It was an inadvertent error on a video that had nothing to do with that. Yeah, it was a mistake. Okay, it wasn't done on purpose, but everybody's got the gotcha moment on Trump, they think. But it doesn't. Shocking quote, maybe, and I don't know if Margot Cleveland was trolling us or whatever on that, from the Washington Post layoffs and much, much more. We want to get to the lead story of the day. It broke at the County Board of Supervisors, Riverside County, Tuesday. At the end of the meeting, CEO Jeff Van Wagelen said there was a settlement in the Turpin, another settlement in the Turpin House of Horrors case. This is disturbing as all heck. And it couldn't come, let's say, at a worse time. I don't know if we can handle this much abuse. But after all what those kids went through in the House of Horrors at their parents and escaped under the control of Riverside County, they failed. I don't see how you can say they didn't fail them again. It's a shocking story. Diane Sawyer put a lot of it out. And she's been following it since it broke, in 2018, 7, 8 years ago. But to have this come back again after all that's went on, we'll get into more of it, but I want to run what Diane Sawyer on ABC News, one of our affiliates, said. She revisited the case. Good Morning America, here we go.
Captures the moment a child escapes through a window of a house. Watch, there. A blurry figure stepping forward, a small, uncertain girl, heading one way. Then she turns, hesitates, and starts to run, clutching an old cell phone.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
Well, we have abusing parents. Did you hear that?
Okay, how did they abuse you?
Okay. They hit us, they throw us across, they like to throw us across the room. They pull our hair, they yank out our hair. I have my two little sisters right now are chained up.
The secrets inside that house shocked the nation. The chains, the starvation, the filth.
When was the last time you had a bath?
Almost a year ago.
Does anybody at the house take any kind of medication?
Oh, I don't know what medication is.
And it was then 4 years ago that you met these two sisters. The older sister is Jennifer Turpin. The younger is Jordan Turpin. It was her voice you heard on that call. It was her courageous escape that saved 13 children.
My whole body was shaking, and
this is it was an incredible story. And that's Jordan Turpin, who was the one that escaped finally out of Paris, 5 miles away from here. That shocked the nation and the world. Here's more from Jordan Turpin in that first escape from the House of Horrors.
when I was holding the phone, I remember the phone was like, I couldn't really dial 911 because, I'm sorry.
Shaking too much?
Yeah, I was shaking.
I don't know how you had the courage, never having spoken to anyone like that.
I think it was like us coming so close to death so many times.
We got a call for a check the welfare here at your house. So,
For what?
check the welfare.
In the end, their parents would plead guilty to 14 felony counts, including torture and false.
From my understanding, Department of Public Services, child welfare, foster kids were all involved, supposed to be watching this house. Cops finally had to show up and after Jordan escaped and say, what the hell is going on?
Imprisonment. So these were the two brave sisters you met 4 years ago. And now 3 more Turpin siblings are coming forward to tell yet another story. How, after they escaped the abuse in one home, impossibly, they faced it again.
As you heard Diane Sawyer, impossibly, they faced it again. There have been allegations up the kazoo. People have come before the County Board of Supervisors publicly and then behind the scenes in reports and this and that of what has been going on. In Department of Public Services, especially in child care and foster care in Riverside County, if it isn't the worst in the entire world, it's in the top frickin' 3, and they do nothing. I don't want to hear about the platitudes. I don't want to hear the department heads that come up there and say, we're fixing it. It's obviously you have not. Judge Larson does his report, cost us $400,000. Oh yeah, we fixed it. $13.5 frickin' million we just had to pay to these poor 6 kids that got abused under the control of Riverside County.
Meet them. You see vitality, hope. Julissa Turpin, age 19. Jolinda Turpin, age 20. Their brother, James Turpin, 24.
I'm just excited about life, like everything, and I love Jesus a lot.
I love to go to the gym, to dance, to write poems.
I like being out. I like talking to people.
When I meet somebody, I try to act like I'm just like a normal, average girl.
But after their escape, these 3 children were placed in a foster home. The children had no experience of a real family and were trying to grasp what was happening to them again.
People say if you're born in a house that's on fire, you think the whole world's on fire. And that's the way it was for me.
They literally told us, nobody wants you. You're never gonna find a better place than this.
Every night they would like drink and then they would like just get really like mean and like aggressive towards us. They just made me hate myself.
Allegations from a civil suit give the details, how some of them were hit with belts, their hair pulled. They say the foster parents told them they would never be loved, they were worthless.
At that time, I kind of felt like my life was, like, doomed, I guess.
And as you'll hear tonight, the psychological anguish was not all.
I mean, something bad did happen the first night I was there. I wanted a dad, and I feel like it's really sad because those type of people always prey on people that need like a dad, and it's just really sad to me because it hurts to think that like there's so many little girls and even little boys out there that those things happen to.
The civil lawsuit ended when agencies offered the Turpin children a settlement. The agencies did not admit wrongdoing as part of the settlement.
To me, it feels like, why do people get to have a family and we don't? And like we have each other, and that's the world, you know? But we still want a mom.
Something good needs to come from this.
1,111%, hopefully. Fab Five, you think you're the kings and queens, and everybody tells you this. County Board of Supervisors, Karen, Victor, Chuck, X, Jose. Y'all got your heads pumped up. Jeff Van Wegelen, I want to know, and the Board of Supervisors, I want to know who the hell gets frickin' fired. How many people? You need to fire, I think, the complete destroy Department of Public Services and rebuild it from the ground up. Judge Larson's report didn't have any effect. I don't want to hear the frickin' excuses anymore, and I don't think Riverside County residents do. And if you watch these kids who were subject to some of the most severe abuse of all time, and then under your control at Riverside County again, not admitting fault, then what in the hell did we pay him $13.5 frickin' million for? As they say, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Has to, and I can't accept it not.
And we are going to set out again tonight asking the agencies involved how this happened and what changes are going to prevent it from happening again. But by the way, you are also going to meet an unlikely hero of this story, a former detective who heard the story of these siblings and said, "This will not happen on my watch."
And you're not admitting fault. You're never going to, you can't, unless you identify the problem, you will never solve it. If we're going to go by and we're not going to admit fault and we're going to bury this under the ground, it will never change. This evil will persist. It's persisting under your watch. And as much as I or other people holler about the budget or anything else, or public safety, you can't protect kids. This was a classic case after the House of Horrors was discovered. After the Judge Larson report. After we were promised this will not happen again, we made changes. Prove that it did not happen. Prove. I want proof, not denying allegations. I want proof. I want you to look those Turpin kids in the eye and say they were lying. If you cannot do that, then what do you think any reasonable and maybe even unreasonable person is going to come to a conclusion? Jeff, Karen, X, Jose, Chuck, Victor. This evil's went on far enough. I really don't know how any of you have not turned in your resignation papers over this. Without just an explanation, or what we heard Tuesday at the Board of Supervisors from Jeff, so, you know, we're heartbroken, this isn't going to happen again. Well, it did. This is if there was ever $1 million collected privately, where did that go? That's all in question. The colossal F-ups in this whole situation are beyond, as Diane Sawyer said, imaginable. But we're living it in frickin' Riverside County. We'll definitely follow up with that. I don't know that we'll get any answers. We'll have a complete story on iNewsWire, probably posted Saturday morning. Be looking for that. Can almost bet this is going to come up at the Board of Supervisors meeting in public comments Tuesday, February 10th, 9:30 a.m. Of all the shocking, unbelievable, this couldn't happen, and it is. And until we fix this, does anything else really matter? It's a big question of the day, of the year, maybe of all time. When does that get fixed? 8 years later, and it appears nothing has, despite all the promises and glad handing. There should not be another special presentation. There should not be another award. There should not be another backslapping up at that county board of supervisors until that is fixed. 111%. It's like Diane, so I can't get over that. She said the impossible that couldn't happen. Well, it did. And you're just going to blow it off with a 5-minute explanation. Oh, we're sorry, you know, it's not going to happen again. How many kids are getting abused, have been, are still getting that or similar treatment under the care, control of Riverside County? And you want us to trust what you're doing everywhere else is just absolutely fabulous. So far, none of you have had the guts, but I'm telling you, and this is a promise that I will keep 111%. Karen, X, Victor, Jose, Chuck, Jeff, whomever you want. Please come in here and sit. We'll sit here all as long as it takes. To come up with a solution and a plan of how this is not going to happen again. Not any of the establishment, hack, Barry artist, anything. Let's get to honest frickin' solution for this. And if you don't have balls enough to come in here and explain what the hell is going on and how we're not and how we screwed it up again, and I'm trying not to use the words I really want to use, then you're just proving the point everybody has that probably won't say it. Well, a few have. And you've tried to destroy each and every one of them. And you know what you did? We've got the tapes. Just from what's at the Board of Supervisors. I don't know how cold of a heart it could be that you would not want to fix this and not want to come clean and not want to tell the truth or why you did what you did. We got to get to that too. People need to see who's really leading, who their leaders, or who the people they've elected really are. And what they really do. This is beyond distressing. And words really can't, I don't care that you can take the most eloquent speaker in the world. You can't explain this. Again, no, with it just the only way, well, let me put it this way. The only way you could extend, you would have to have absolutely no conscience, no feeling, no heart, no nothing. The time for just words or platitudes or we're gonna this. No, what is the actual action plan? If you're not firing everybody in DPS tomorrow, then why not? I mean, I've been hearing, getting reports inside, outside, around, kids that have been in there, your employees, retired employees. Since I've been on this earth, and that's been part of 7 decades. And it's got to the point where it's down to this case of the Turpins. And I'm making a plea to everybody in Riverside County listening of that. Why is that not on your radar screen? Why aren't you concerned? Why aren't you holding your public officials accountable? Or are you cool with kids just being flat out tortured? Was the Turpin kids and many others? If you stick your head in the sand, it could be yours tomorrow. It's one of the, I don't know, about of all the cumulative stuff I've seen going on, I can't see a positive yet. I don't see any real contrition, no real, this is what why it got to this point. How we're going to fix it. Just, hey, can we just get flat to no more BS? And quit telling us we're stupid, we don't know what we're talking about, we don't have any evidence, we're just a bunch of yahoos out here. And again, I'm going to make that plea again. If you think that, and it's been said from the dais personally to me and others, have enough guts to sit right here and prove your case. I will give you all day, weekend, and I'll go 48 hours, and I'll give you the chance to prove that I'm a Yahoo, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and I have no evidence.
20 seconds, 20 seconds.
If you can't do that, it just shows what a piece of human debris you are. As Jesse said, we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET on this as we roll out of the last half hour of this Faster Than You Friday and roll into the weekend of that, and we'll see what happens on the rest of the half hour.
Here we go.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music. Comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the form of Chilean band. Join our vast video audience in the Evil B Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check it out. See my nice smiling face on that. And you can get all the archives of that. And check this out. We spent the first half hour of the show highlighting the absolutely shocking, unbelievable. There's no adjective that can really explain this. Ever. The Turpin House of Horrors. Those kids that went through the abuse 5 miles from where I'm at. Chained, sexually abused, not let out, not let to talk to anyone. Living in squalor in their own urine and feces, and the story goes on. And then we get to this point. They were abused again under the control of the county of Riverside. You heard the story. Diane Sawyer put it out this week. Is this community's got any sort of heart? If you've got any sort of compassion, care about yourself or your fellow human being, I don't know why people are not storming and demanding, first, this gets fixed. Second, if we don't know exactly what's happened, why and who did what, no BS, no nothing. I don't know where society's going if we can just let kids be abused and tortured and sexually molested, and the list goes on. And we just turn a blind eye, or, well, it wasn't my kid. Well, it could be tomorrow. Something to contemplate over this weekend. Maybe instead of watching a bunch of no balls yucks that ain't got enough balls to come up and speak up about stuff like this. I don't know if she's clowning us Or that I've heard about it, I've caught about it. Margot Cleveland, she's the head writer over at the Federalist. But it's funny as heck, and it's funny as heck, it just if it's a satire. If it's true, it's very disturbing. Washington Post fired a third of their staff because, and they're all whining and saying, oh, Bezos should be paying the bill for us to put out propaganda. Well, I don't care how rich you are. After a while, you're not going to keep subsidizing this stuff. Pat Sushon, the multi-billionaire from the LA Times, had his daughter running the LA Times and, cost him a lot of money. He said, no mas. And the list goes on. I don't care how much money you got or what. You're not going to keep doing stupid over and over again. She posted this. I was hired by the Washington Post in 2021 to transcribe all our interview questions to give them to Joe Biden days in advance on picture postcards. The day I was laid off. Now this, again, I don't know. I mean, she's quoting somebody. I didn't hear it or see it. Well, I've heard it a couple places. I saw her ex post that she put out quoting somebody. He didn't say who it was. But I mean, if it's a funny satire if it's just put out there for a funny ha-ha, of Adult Joe. If it's true, it's even more concerning that they had to put the questions in pictures like you were 3 years old. So the then 46 and auto pen president Joe Biden could have a heads up on the questions the WAPO was going to ask. Well, of course, California's got to step into it. Kelly Loeffler, one of the administrators, cabinet post, SBA, I think, if I remember correctly, out there for the Trump administration, was out in LA over the Palisades fire. Why isn't Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass or any of our officials doing it? Why do we got to have why isn't Pencilneck, our senator, or, Puke Padilla out here? Why do we got to get Rick Scott and Michael Lee, I think, coming out here to, from Wisconsin from Utah? No, it was Ron Johnson and Rick Scott of Wisconsin and Florida out here to come out here for the Palisades and stuff, and that's what they were out here. J.D. Vance, our esteemed vice president, has been put in charge of unearthing the California fraud, and that's going to be a monumental task. This was in the new California Post. Hopefully, we'll start getting some real investigative journalism, more of it. Not that there wasn't, like California Globe and us and a few, Amy Reichert and a few, have been out there digging in the trenches. Exclusive, shocking, $8.6 billion in new fraud uncovered in California, more than 10,000 shady COVID area loans exposed. As you see there, shocking of the story in the Post. And this was all to the PPP, the employment loans, the EDL loans, and all that they were just handing out to companies. And this is on top of the $50 billion in unemployment fraud. Of course, B.S. Rob Bonta said they're baseless claims. Just like the County Board of Supervisors came up and said a lot of times, baseless claims of the abuse that's been going on in kids under the control of Riverside County. Baseless claims. Like Bona's got a lot of credibility. There's Kelly Loeffler, SBA administrator, explaining that at a press conference out here in LA, whether they were doing with the Pacific Palisades, and trying to deal with that, trying to do the job that the California and LA people should be doing. They're accused of collecting money under a Paycheck Protection and Economic Injury Disaster loans from the federal government that were supposed to ease the economic burden from COVID. Once again, SBA is looking at taking decisive action, delivering accountability in the state whose unaccountable welfare policies have created a culture of fraud, abuse, at the expense of law-abiding taxpayers and small business owners, Loeffler told the Post. And I used to think, and I like when Elon come in and he said, you know, there's probably 20-25% fraud, waste, and abuse. And that was kind of the number I was working with for all the years, whether it's from local, state, feds. Sadly to say, with all the things that are uncovering now, I'm going to say it's 50% or more. I'm going to say 50% of every dollar they take from you and all of us in taxes. I don't care if it's in your city, county, state, feds. It's just getting flushed down the toilet. You might as well just figure it's like pay off to the mafia for protection or whatever, but you're not even getting protected, as we've seen with the Turpin's House of Horrors case. No, you pay and they abuse you again, and then you pay some more and they abuse you even harder. And then we see stories like this, 37 arrested and 33 tons of debris cleared from a SoCal homeless encampment. Vagrant dump is what it should say. And we got to subject ourselves to this kind of punishment each and every day. This is an interesting story. It's been going on for a while. But this is a famous Olive Dell Ranch down Ritchie Canyon Road, you know, that connects between Purdue and Moreno Valley. I've traveled it for parts of 7 decades. You always seen that. There you see that posted, attention, private property, private easement. You may encounter nude people beyond this point. It's been a nudist colony ever since, I don't know when it started. It's been around ever since I can remember. But there's been some interesting stories and a lot of disputes going on that. The latest is, I guess, they're shutting off the power to the patrons in the nudist camp up there. Here is the ABC7 report. Here we go.
Nudist resort and the owners, and now the power has been shut off.
We're hearing from both sides. Here's Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan.
I have asked you numerous times for proof.
A landlord-tenant dispute at a nudist resort in Redlands. At times,
Wait a minute.
in violence.
Hold it. This is a nudist resort? Why is everybody wearing clothes? The sign said, beyond this point, you may see people nude. Well, where are the nude people? And we want truth in advertising. If it says nude people beyond this point, I want to see nude people, but here we go. Oh.
Nudist resort in Redlands, at times erupting in violence. Many of these nudists...
Why do they keep calling this Redlands? First, I think that's still in Riverside County, because you get about halfway down to transitions from Riverside County. But I believe this, they keep calling it Redlands. That's been known as Ritchie Canyon. It's between San Bernardino and Moreno Valley. It's probably more closer to Moreno Valley than anything else. I know it's certainly closer to Moreno Valley than Redlands. But I would say the closest city to the Olive Dale Ranch is Moreno Valley. I don't know why they keep calling it Redlands. Here we go.
The ownership, in part for telling them that clothing is now mandatory at all times, accusing the owners of cutting their power.
What in the hell? Well, that explains that. Have times got so fouled up that you can't even be nude in a nudist colony? What the hell is going... What in the hell is going wrong with this world?
In retaliation,
I'm just sitting in my house minding my business and the electricity goes off.
Tammy Wilkerson says it happened a few days ago.
I have a hot water heater that's not propane, it's electric. I can't take showers.
I have a pacemaker that's supposed to be monitored by the hospital.
I have a CPAP machine. I need that.
This nudist resort has been in the news before 2 years ago when one resident was arrested, now accused of murdering two of his elderly neighbors.
Yes, that's what it was. I knew they were in the deal here not too long ago. Yes, that was the big murder case. That's when they kept calling it Redlands. I mean, it should not that Moreno Valley needs this kind of attention, but I mean, it would be in our reputation. But I mean, the closest city to this camp is Moreno Valley by far.
I have no idea what their motivation is. You're going to have to ask them what their motivation is. But this is harassment.
Some residents admit they haven't paid their rent since the lawsuit was filed, but others say paid everything. The lawsuit alleging Tina Kofeld going around and physically removing the electric meters anyway.
We have pulled the meters for lack of payment. Stealing electricity is a felony.
Some of them said that they've gone out and purchased their own meters and you've taken their
You're not allowed to have your own meter. The meter has to be my meter as the owner, and it has to be certified by the state.
Kofeld doesn't deny she doesn't want people walking around in the nude here anymore.
Why don't they just go move to another naked place? If you want to run around naked, go live in a naked place.
That's what it was supposed to be. It's been that ever since I can remember. No, I mean, it's her property, I guess, if she wants to do that. But I don't know the circumstances for this, but why would you buy a nudist colony and then tell everybody to put on clothes? That seems odd at a minimum.
We're not doing that anymore.
But an attorney representing some of the nudists says because this is a well-established nudist resort, it could be considered against state law to all of a sudden require everyone to wear clothing.
The reason it's against the law is because California has the Unruh Civil Rights Act, which prohibits any business from discriminating against someone based on their characteristics.
She says it's not the same as someone trying to go nude in a public place like the common area of an apartment complex. This place is gated and private property.
For a new owner to take it over and say, oh, well, you're not nudist, you can't be nudist anymore, that means they just want them gone.
She says ownership has filed at least 23 unlawful detainers against residents. And because of that, she says it's actually against state law to cut their power right now, whether they're paying.
I guess this is all going to boil down to, and another part of it, and part of the law, I would believe, it usually is my experience, I'm no lawyer to give legal advice, but, you know, if they were renting it, let's say, I don't know if they have contracts or something, but yeah, it's always been a nudist colony, and if you agreed to rent a property or leased it for so many years or whatever as a nudist colony, and then they come in and say, you can't be a nudist, then I guess you would have a case. It'd be like if you bought a store or you're renting a store in a shopping center as a, let's say, as a dress shop, and then the owner comes in and says, well, you know, you just can't run it, you know, and that's what you said, I'm going to have a dress shop, and you sign a 5-year lease. And another year goes by, well, let's say they sell it. Does the new owner have the right to come in and tell you, you've got a lease, a signed contract to operate this as a dress shop? Does he have the right to tell you, no, you got a contract to do that? This is an interesting case, and to see how, what's the world coming to? You can't be nude in a nudist colony. Well, I wonder what's next is if you're out of the nudist colony, what, can you not wear clothes? Have you got to be naked when you're out? Which is illegal. Please, nobody do that. If you do that, you're on your own. But that's the absurdity of some of the stuff that goes on. But that's going to be a, let's say, a wild case to follow. Wanted to do this. There was a lot of protests going on in and around Moval, all across the Inland Empire, Southland, the world. Here's a little bit of, either you had a bunch of kids skipping school, out protesting out front of City Hall. There's one of that. Hemet had it. I saw Eddie George posting about it. They said one kid might, this is just a report, not that it happened, one kid might have got hit while they were out protesting, walking around out in the streets of Hemet, but that's an unconfirmed report that I read from Hemet Eye News and Eddie George and his crew over there as I was scanning across the dial. But it's really sometimes. And I get your right to protest, or peacefully assemble. But you know what? You don't have the right to just ditch school for no freaking reason. There are consequences to that. You are violating the law. And as far as I've heard, some parents can get thrown in jail if your kids are not in school. So, if ish happens and you're breaking the law and you're protesting illegally, then be prepared to suffer the consequences. I wanted to get to this because this broke. Trump posted one of his very famous videos and memes and turt comments that he does. That's Donald J. He's 79 years old. You're not going to change that. So he released a video and everybody went bananas. Because right at the end it showed Michelle Obama and Barack Obama in a monkey suit or something or other. Right at the last flash of it. And everybody, Trump is a racist. He posted this video of Barack and Michelle and all this other noise. So let's run the full video as we have it, as it was posted. And then once it was found out that, Trump did remove it. So let's let it roll.
The Michigan investigation team obtained forensic access to a DS-200 tabulator, the machine that counts the votes.
This is about machines and voter fraud.
A Telit 4G wireless chip manufactured in Taiwan was discovered embedded into the motherboard. The voting machine tapes clearly indicate modem engagement and transmission of election data. Some of the anomalies that we noticed in the 2020 general elections, that 5 key states all stopped counting at a certain time in these key battleground states. These were all where the software, Dominion machines, ESNS machines were used, the Smartmatic, the GEMS software. So when the vote stopped counting, and this has been noted in other countries as well, President Trump was significantly ahead. When reporting and counting resumed, there was a massive spike occurred that favored Joe Biden.
So let's stop right there for a sec. And this is what I predicted this on the airwaves in front of these same microphones in September, October of 2020. I said, yeah, watch, Trump's going to be way ahead. And all of a sudden, they're going to kick a bunch of box of ballots and, here's a bunch for Joe Biden. So that's what, whether it was machines or ballots or all that, I say it was mostly ballots that were planted. I don't doubt there's phony baloney stuff going on in the machines too. I don't think it's the main part. That's a discussion for a different day. So Trump's posting this video So we're 57 seconds into 1 minute, 1 second as the video is long. Here we go. So there you are in 1 second. And you see X areas, different company right here than that. What happened was the video automatically, whoever was setting it up and recording the video, you know how it jumped, and this drives me absolutely nuts, is it auto scrolls to the next video. You should have to set that. When I am done with watching a video, I didn't want to watch 23. I'm done. And then it does that, and then I got to try and shut it off. And I'm too retarded to know how to shut it off. So then I'm beating and banging and cussing at the phone or whatever, the computer, because it won't shut off. So you got 1 second of somebody as it auto scrolled to another one. Trump or his team, or if they're bearing it on a staffer, they did not do it. Maybe Trump got the video, copied it. I'm sure Trump's not putting the whole thing together. Trump's probably, okay, I want this video posted on X, whatever Poindexter, whatever's out there, puts it together, and it auto scrolls, and he didn't cut it off there in the last second. No big deal. People make mistakes. If we're all going to fall apart over stuff like that, society's doomed anyway. I mean, if you're that emotionally fragile, that if somebody makes a mistake and your world falls to pieces, an inconsequential mistake like that, that's not, that's not the Turpin thing or anything of that magnitude. That's just somebody that just, didn't shut it off in time and got 1 or 2 seconds on that shouldn't have been on. Man, people just got to get their ish together. Not everything is a major crisis, or don't try to more things. Don't try to make something more of something what it is. It was just an error by somebody who's putting the thing together. No big deal. Although we should. If I was king, I would say no auto reconnect or whatever the hell that is. I don't even know what it is. That's how technically savvy I am. But I could easily see how that could happen. And it was not intentional. He did not project it, not racist and all that. We got Trump. To all you that, grow a pair and stick it up your rear end. How's that to end a Friday? Or this week. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time, it's mandatory you're back here in 71 hours wide. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
All right, have a great night.
So, what's the world coming to if you can't be nude in a nudist club?
Right? What the heck? I thought that's the whole point.
Yes!
How rude.
Yes.
All right, have a great night.
See you. Ah.